Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about all of my first time watches for the month of October. I don't know if this is going to be a video that I do each month or anything like that, but I did have a lot of different first time watches that I wanted to discuss today. So I usually get into this funk where I only want to watch comfort horror movies, but I really try to put myself out there and check out more first time watches last month. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. I didn't watch as many as I would have hoped, but I still did get 10. Plus, I did have 3 that were ones that I actually did full reviews for, so those ones aren't going to be on here. Those are for Good Boy, Black Phone 2, and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So if you do want my thoughts on any of those, just go check out those reviews. So the first one that I watched was Drag Me to Hell. This one, it took me so long to watch because of the fact that when it came out, I would have been, I think, either a freshman or sophomore in high school. And I was kind of basing a lot of what I could watch off of what my mom would allow me to see. And with this one, I believe she had heard from a friend of hers that it had some animal content. And, it's obviously not real animal violence or anything in there, but that's definitely something that turns her off of a movie completely. And so that was just one that we ended up skipping over because of that. But I have watched so many videos on YouTube over the years, and just like about horror movies and stuff. And so many of them have talked about Drag Me to Hell. So I always knew that at some point I was going to want to watch it, just so I could understand more about it as well. And I will say I don't like the animal content in here. It makes sense, though, in the concept of the film. We have something that is going to have a lot more ritualistic stuff going on, so it does make sense in that context. I just don't enjoy it. Honestly, I just wish that animals weren't allowed to be in horror movies, period, because otherwise I'm just going to be thinking the whole time, oh, are they going to be okay? And I would just rather not have that anxiety, honestly. But overall, I did like this one. I thought that it definitely felt like a Sam Raimi movie. It reminded me a lot of the Evil Dead movies and the effects from those especially. I was kind of excited that I actually didn't have the twist at the end spoiled for me. I had seen what happened in the very end of the movie, but I didn't realize what got them to that point, so I was interested in seeing that, I guess. It was kind of funny. And yeah, I had a good time with it, but I don't think that it's one that I would rewatch. I mean, it took me so many years to watch it in the first place. I just don't see myself rewatching it unless someone around me really wants to see it. The next one that I want to talk about is Phantasm. And this is from a franchise that just completely went under the radar for me. I didn't have anybody that would show me horror movies that ever talked about this one. So it was only until I started hearing about it from different YouTubers that I like that I decided I really wanted to check it out. And I've got to say, I didn't enjoy this one as well as Drag Me to Hell or some of the other ones that I watched this month. I thought that it was okay, but it was kind of strange, and it's one that I'm definitely going to have to give another viewing to. As long as I didn't think that it was something horrible or I had some content issue with it, I'm willing to give a movie a rewatch for sure, because sometimes you're just not in the right setting at that time to really give it a fair shake. And so I think that I'm going to have to rewatch this one at some point. And I've heard that the second one is actually better, potentially. So whenever I get the urge to check that one out, I'll just watch this one again as well. So the next one that I want to talk about is actually completely family friendly, and that is Frankenweenie. This one came out, I think, right around when I graduated high school, and I was at a point in my life where I just felt like maybe I was too cool to watch animated stuff, at least, ones that were not classics for when I was younger. And I'm definitely to a point now where I don't have an issue watching animated stuff, and I just can agree that it's still fun and you can do that stuff even when you're older. I just felt like I was too cool for that at some point, and I think that happens to a lot of teenagers for sure. But this one I thought was fine. I didn't love it. I think that it would be a harder one to show your children if you had a dog pass away in the same way that theirs does in this movie. So I think that would be a hard topic to broach with your child. So it's definitely something to think about if you are going to show it to them. But I did like that it was all in black and white, and I liked that it did feel like a Frankenstein story for sure with some of the different parts of it. But it is going to be one that I need to rewatch and see if I find a little bit more appreciation for it as well. The next one that I watched for the first time was The Monster Squad. And oh my goodness, I absolutely adored this one. This one was a 5-star one for me for sure. I don't know why I hadn't seen this one sooner. I think that it is right up my alley. This is the type of movie that my mom would have shown me for sure. So I think it's strange that I didn't have any recollection of seeing this one at all or anything. I'm going to have to ask her about it, honestly. She would definitely show me a lot of 80s movies and horror in general, and I feel like she showed me a lot of coming of age stories, and I think this one is a good one for that as well. I really loved all the Universal Monster stuff here. That's not really something that I had a lot of foray into until like the last 5 years, so maybe that's a reason why I hadn't seen stuff like that, or this movie in particular. But I just had such a good time with it. I think it's a perfect watch for spooky season, and it might be one that I have to go back to each year now. So the next one that I watched for the first time was The Fly from 1986. I'm going to venture to say that reasons I never saw this one would be that this also has some animal content, and it could also be just that I really did not see a lot of body horror when I was younger. So it could be both of those things, honestly. And again, I don't like the animal content in here. It makes sense since we're dealing with a scientist and they do that kind of terrible stuff to animals. But I think that overall this movie was really, really good. And I have not seen the original, so I can't say whether or not it is a good remake of that or anything. But the performances were very good in here. I did rate it pretty high on Letterboxd. It's just not something that I'm probably ever going to go back to, kind of like Drag Me to Hell. So it's just something that I wanted to see since it was a classic and would only probably rewatch if someone around me really wanted to watch it with me. Then the next one that I watched for the first time was Bring Her Back. And this one was another 5-star one for me. I just thought that it was incredible. It was so scary and definitely a downer of a movie, very depressing. So you have to be in that kind of mood to be okay watching it, I think. It's very heavy. The subject matter is heavy for sure. But I think we have some really good performances. Sally Hawkins does such an amazing job, and I think all the kids that are in this do a great job as well. I think that the gore in here is grisly, and I wasn't quite expecting how nasty some of it got, but it didn't feel too over the top. It just, when we got it, it was a lot. But I was one of the people that liked Talk to Me, as this is from the same creators, but I definitely like this one so much more, and I am, excited to see what else that they can put out after this one, because it was just so good. The next one that I wanted to talk about was actually more of like a palate cleanser after Bring Her Back, because I needed that. That's kind of a thing that I will do if it's something that was just really heavy or really gross. I might want to palate cleanse by watching something that's more up my alley. And for this, I chose Psycho 2. Slashers are always a go-to for me, and definitely can cleanse my palate after movies like Bring Her Back. So I wanted to check it out for that reason, and also the fact that it was included in Scream 6. I have this thing where a lot of the movies that are referenced in the Scream franchise, I have to go back and watch. I just feel like I'm educating myself in horror by doing that. And so Psycho 2 was one that I wanted to check out after its inclusion in Scream 6. And this one was definitely another 5-star one for me. I think that it is an incredible sequel. It was, kind of like more of a pioneer of legacy sequels before that was something that was so prevalent in now, like movies now. But I loved seeing Anthony Perkins in this role again, and we had, another returning cast member, so that's always cool when we have stuff like that in a movie. And I honestly didn't expect some of the turns that we got in here, so it worked well for me in that regard. And it felt familiar, being from, Psycho, which is such a movie that I love, but it still was its own movie, and I really liked that about it. If you are someone like me that kind of held off watching this one for so long because you didn't know how they were going to follow up such an incredible movie as Psycho, I would say go ahead and watch this one because it is worth your time and it's a really good watch. I've owned this one for probably 15 or 20 years. I have a collection with this one, the third film, and the fourth one. And at some point, I'm going to have to check out those as well now that I have seen this one and I know I love it. So the next one that I wanted to talk about was The Substance. And this one was a really, really amazing film. I didn't give it a 5-star rating. It's just not my type of thing, but I did still rate it really high because it was very well done and the performances are great. I think Margaret Qualley does a good job, and Demi Moore, though, she is just obviously the standout here. She brings something amazing to this role, and I liked seeing that for her. I think that the gore in here, it was really gross. As I said, I'm not a big fan of body horror, and it was just pretty creepy throughout with all of that stuff. Not just, like the creature that we get at the end, basically. It was just a lot of creepy visuals all the way throughout this movie. But it is one that I don't see myself rewatching just because of it being body horror and that just not being a go-to for me ever. But I can definitely give credit where it's due that this is an incredible film and definitely worth your time to check out at least once. So the next one that I watched was another palate cleanser because I needed it after The Substance, and that was Night of the Reaper, and that one is from Shudder. So this one I read about when I was trying to find something to watch on Shudder, and it just seemed up my alley. I love slasher films, and it just sounded like it had a cool premise. And I don't think that it was anything amazing or anything like that, but I did have a really good time with it. I didn't expect the twist that it took either. And I'm not someone who is just sitting watching a movie and trying to find anything about it and, trying to figure out what's going to happen in it. I just watch it and live in the moment. So it usually works for me that way. But I had a good time with this one, and I think that it was a good watch for spooky season, so I would recommend checking it out. Then the last one that I wanted to talk about technically is not a first-time watch for me because I did watch it probably 20 years ago, I would guess, and that is Christine. I just had no recollection of it really, so I figured it would be a good time to rewatch this one because it would feel like a first-time watch again for me. Being a John Carpenter film, it's obviously very, very well done, and you can see that when you watch this for sure. There's a lot of care in the filmmaking, as is the case for really all of his works that I've seen so far. And I really like the main characters that we get in here. I think that they are interesting, and I just liked this movie overall. I think that the car itself is just gorgeous, and if I had my choice of a vehicle, I wouldn't pick Christine in particular, but definitely that style of vehicle is right up my alley. I think older cars are just gorgeous. And I did have a lot of fun with this one, and I would consider rewatching it for sure, and that's huge for me. So, what did you think of this video? Did you happen to watch any of these ones? And what are your thoughts on them? And also let me know down in the comments what were some first time watches that you had in October, if you had any, because I'd love to have discussions about that as well. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet for more horror content. I do post 2 new videos each week. I'm kind of contemplating upping that a little bit. I'm still just kind of committing myself to 2 videos per week, but I'm toying with maybe throwing in bonus videos from time to time if I am able to. So let me know down in the comments if you would like more videos from me as well. You can follow me on Instagram for updates on my channel as well as additional horror content. You can follow me on Letterboxd to see what I have been watching lately and my thoughts on those movies. And if you want to follow me on either of those socials, the links for those are in my channel description for easy access for you guys. I want to say thank you for all the support that I have been given so far. It doesn't go unnoticed. My name is Devin. This is Carpenter Hill. Thanks for watching.